in section 4 of the introduction to Thomas Reid's Inquiry into the Human Mind on the Principles of Common Sense, using the Derek Brooks edition. End of section 4. The philosophers of the last age, whom I've mentioned, he refers here to Descartes, Malebranche, Locke, did not attend to preserving this union and subordination so carefully as the honor and interest of philosophy required, i.e. Descartes, Malebranche, and Locke did not pay attention to the need for a harmony of common sense and philosophy, and to the subordination of philosophy to common sense, or to the fact that philosophy depends on common sense as its foundation. Or, different metaphor, philosophy has no other root but the principles of common sense. Descartes, Malebranche, Locke kind of botched that. You know what? I'm still in the middle of a single sentence by Reid, but I'm gonna keep going. I'll interrupt my own interruption of Reid's sentence to say Descartes bases his whole philosophy on the foundation of the principle I exist. He uses that to try to establish the world outside my mind exists, my five senses put me in contact with the world, God exists, reason is reliable, etc., etc. Now, the thing is, maybe not the existence of God, but reason is reliable, the world outside my mind exists, my five senses put me in contact with it, all these things are all principles of common sense. And what are they based on? I exist. Also a principle of common sense. So the foundation of Descartes' philosophy, if it is a solid foundation, being the same as these other principles, means that these other principles should be okay. They shouldn't need the Cartesian defense. They could be accepted. I exist. The world outside my mind exists. Reason is reliable. My five senses put me in contact with the world outside the mind. All these are principles of common sense. And if one is trustworthy, why not the others? The philosophers of the last age, Descartes, Malebranche, Locke, etc., did not attend to the preserving the union of common sense and philosophy. The honor and interest of philosophy required that philosophy recognize common sense. But those of the present age have waged open war with common sense and hope to make a complete conquest of it by the subtleties of philosophy, an attempt no less audacious and vain than that of the giants to dethrone almighty Jove. Okay, ignore the references to Greco-Roman mythology. The philosophers of the present age have waged open war with common sense. Descartes, Malebranche, Locke just didn't honor common sense as much as they should, much as philosophy itself deserved them to do. But these new philosophers, they're in open conflict with common sense. Now, whom is he talking about? Section 5 of Bishop Berkeley, also of the Treatise of Human Nature and of Skepticism. That means now we're going to talk about Berkeley and Hume. The present age, I apprehend, has not produced two more acute or more practiced in this part of philosophy than the Bishop of Cloyne, that's Berkeley, and the author of the Treatise of Human Nature, that's David Hume. The first, Berkeley, was no friend to skepticism, but had that warm concern for religious and moral principles which became his order. Berkeley was a priest, a bishop, yet the result of his inquiry was a serious conviction that there is no such thing as a material world, nothing in nature but spirits and ideas. So Berkeley is a pious philosopher. He's defending the existence of God, life after death. He's defending traditional religion and morality. But part of his philosophy is a denial that there is matter existing independently of the mind. He says, all is mind. This teacup is just an arrangement of perceptions existing in the mind. There's no matter. There's no teacup independent of mind. There's no matter. There's only mind. There's only spiritual substance, mind, that is, and what it perceives. Berkeley also thought that the belief of material substances and of abstract ideas are the chief causes of all our errors in philosophy and of all infidelity and heresy in religion. His arguments are founded upon the principles which were formerly laid down by Descartes, Malebranche, and Locke, and which have been very generally received. Descartes, Malebranche, and Locke, that's where things started to go wrong. They weren't in open war with common sense, but by failing to recognize common sense as the foundation of human knowledge, they paved the way for this more dramatic skepticism. Berkeley's skepticism was a skepticism about matter, and it got worse. And the opinion of the ablest judges seems to be that they neither have been nor can be confuted, that he hath proved by unanswerable arguments what no man in his senses can believe. Berkeley proved with flawless arguments what no one can believe. Berkeley followed the principles of people like Descartes, Malebranche, and especially Locke, and denied matter. Hume is worse. The second, Hume, proceeds upon the same principles, but carries them to their full length. And as the bishop undid the whole material world, this author, upon the same grounds, undoes the world of spirits and leaves nothing in nature but ideas and impressions, without any subject on which they may be impressed. So what Berkeley did for physical substance, denying the existence of matter. There's no physical stuff out there. There's just my perceptions of the teacup and your perceptions. What Berkeley did for physical matter, Hume does for mind. And then Hume denies that there's any such thing as a spiritual or mental substance either. So Hume followed still further in the same direction as Berkeley, based on the same principles, especially Locke. With flawless arguments, he proved what cannot be believed. Now, what does that mean? Well, if the arguments are flawless and the conclusion something quite ridiculously unbelievable, the only way to avoid that is to just not even start. Don't even go as far as the premises of the argument. If the argument is flawless, the conclusions are unacceptable, there's something wrong with the premises. So we have to go back to those premises and stop there. Well, stop the crazy march towards skepticism there, but start our studies there with those premises. Find out what's wrong with them, perhaps, and articulate some better premises, which again will be the whole point of the inquiry into the human mind, or the principles of common sense.